Today I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I refresh a balayage on a client. We're going to bring up her brightness, but we're also going to add some dimension back into her balayage. So if that's something that you want to learn, make sure to stay tuned and let's get started. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I refresh a balayage on a client. We're going to bring up her brightness, but we're also going to add some dimension back into her balayage. She has kind of a little bit of a line going on, some solid blonde on the bottom and some depth at the top. So we're going to blend the two and just add a lot more dimension. So this is what we're starting out with. You guys can see she's had a previous balayage before, and it's just time to kind of bring it up and to fix a lot of this dark hole we have going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up her lightness. I'm also going to bring down some of her natural color to add some depth back in, because right now it's just feeling like a little bit heavy, kind of like there's that line there. So we're just going to bring the brightness up, darken it throughout, and yeah, I'm really excited to do this. Bring up Blondoor, Well of Blondoor with 25 volume. So I usually do like a good full scoop just to start, and then we'll probably increase it to about 30 volume once we move up the head, but we'll start with 25 just because she is so light naturally. We don't need to like start full in the gate with 30 volume. And then I'm gonna add in a little bit of Olaplex just to ensure the health of her hair. So we do just a tiny bit there, add it in, we're ready to go. And for her low light, kind of mid light that I'm gonna do 7N colorants, and I always do 2 to 1 because that's how you're supposed to mix it. You can do 1 to 1, but for low lights and stuff, I just do 2 to 1. And then I always whisk it just to kind of mix it really well. Goldwell says that you should mix it up in a bottle and then put it into a bowl, but I think whisking it is just good. You don't want to aerate it too much, but it definitely helps kind of get that little bit thicker consistency for it. Alright, so when I'm sectioning the hair, I always section out the front from the back. So I just kind of clip this area away, but I do everything basically behind the ear forward, and we'll just clip this out of the way with just like a regular clip. So that way it's not hanging in the client's face, but this is just a really great way to start sectioning the hair, and then we'll start in the back. Alright, so when my client wears her hair up, I want her to be able to see these lighter pieces coming through, and you guys can see it's really grown out at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do about just like a 1/2 inch wide section, and this is going to be our first pieces just around the hairline. We do it on both sides, and then we're going to do 2 of these back-to-back foils like this. So we're going to do one like this, then another 1/2 inch section, and another one, and that's going to really help create that brightness right around her hairline. Alright, so now that I've got my section, I'm going to just basically weave it out. And I'm using a really fine tooth comb, and the reason why is I want to make sure that when I tease her hair, it's actually going to catch the hair. On the wider tooth ones, they don't do that. So I'm going to tease her little hair section, and this is just going to help kind of blur that line a little bit, make sure that we're not creating a line or anything. And I'm going to start with my foil down here. And to help lock the foil in place, I'm just going to use a lightweight conditioner. Now this one is from Goldwell. It's the Dual Senses Color Conditioner. And no reason why I like that conditioner. The only reason why I like it is because it's super, super lightweight. So as I'm going to apply that conditioner, then I'm just going to start applying my lightener right below that conditioner section and kind of feather it up into that conditioner. Now you want to make sure you're not using too much conditioner, because you could cause a little bit of a line of demarcation there, or a line of warmth. So I'm just doing a tiny bit of conditioner and then feathering my lightener up into it. And then you guys can see I'm leaving out her ends. I want to make sure that I'm not coloring some of these ends that are previously lightened. So I'm going to take a shorter foil and apply it over that, hold it up, and then lock it into place. And that is pretty much how I do my entire balayage technique. So I'm going to continue this up the head. We're going to do another section, like I said, another 1/2 inch little guy right here. And just so you guys know too, like around the hairlines, I'm always going to do more fine sections. And then when we get up into the depth of the hair, we'll do a little bit thicker sections. All right, so I've done my 2 diagonal back sections just around her hairline, and now I did a straight across section. So you guys can see the V kind of came through here, and I'm just cutting it straight across to break up that pattern. If we continued up the head doing all diagonal backs, she would end up with a ton of lightness and then some depth through here. So we want to break it up, almost like a brick lay pattern, break up that pattern. So you guys can see she's got quite a bit of depth here, and then also quite a bit of lightness. So I want to break this up even more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave out her light piece that I'm gonna have, and then I'm just gonna clip this up out of the way. And then I'm gonna go back down here into our section, and I'm gonna weave it again. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this as part of my low light. So I'm gonna grab just one of my longer foils, and I'm not gonna bring the low light all the way through. I don't want to get rid of all the brightness on her ends, but I'm just gonna drag down that natural color a little bit more. And again, this is just 7N, it's a semi-permanent, so it's great. It's not gonna be like too harsh or anything. It's not gonna be hard to lift back out if she ever wants to go much lighter, but this is just gonna add some more dimension back in there. And again, you guys can see I'm leaving those little bit of ends out. So let's kind of pull those off to the side, fold it up, we'll lock it into place, and then I'll go back in and grab my lighter piece, and we'll tease it, and then go in with our lightener. So this is just a really great way to add in lowlights, add in dimension while you're putting in your balayage, and that's another reason why I like to do it in foils, because I can segment out each section and not feel like, oh shoot, I'm stuck with just, you know, doing light or just doing dark. So, and you guys can see I am pulling through a little bit on her end. She's got a little bit of depth through some of those, so I am pulling through a tiny smidge bit, but nothing crazy. And then you guys can see I'm just gonna feather that up in there. Now, one thing that I want you guys to know is when I am feathering this, I am pushing it down. I'm actually like bracing it with the back of my hand and pushing it down, not back of my hand, pushing the product into it so that we're fully saturating it, but it's also not a very thick section either. So I wanna make sure that it is saturated, but I don't wanna like squish it in there too much where it's gonna like mess up the line. So there's kind of definitely a practice to this. So if you're feeling like you're getting lines or splotchiness, it could be that you're taking too thick of sections or you're not saturating the product enough. So just make sure to practice that technique. Then we'll apply our foil and lock it into place, and then we just keep moving up the head. So once I've done my straight across section, I'm gonna do some diagonal, like 2 diagonal, and then straight across, and we'll continue up the back of the head that way. All right, so we finished the back section, and now we're gonna move on to the front, and she definitely likes having that kind of money piece around her face, so, and she wants to be pretty blonde, so she's got all these little baby hairs. So this is the best technique that I have found to do the money piece. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna section out almost like the way I would like a mohawk section, like as wide as her forehead is. And I'm gonna do about 1 inch or like 3/4 away from the hairline. And that's gonna be our section that we're gonna apply the money piece to. So usually I don't do, definitely not more than 1 inch, but it's anywhere from like 3/4 to 1 inch deep through her hairline. So we'll clip this all back. And this is gonna be our very first section. So I'm gonna take it kind of about as wide as like a highlight piece. Sometimes even like baby light piece. You guys can see that that's pretty fine. It's just because she doesn't have a ton of hair on this side. So I'm gonna weave it out. And then I'm gonna apply my foil. And I'm still using my larger foils. Now these sections I'm not gonna tease. I'm just gonna use my conditioner at the roots to help blend it in, but we're not gonna tease them because it's around the hairline. It's already a fine section and we don't need to. I'm gonna apply my lightener. And then I'm just gonna go in and kind of feather that in. Just kind of pull it down through some of those like warm pieces. I wanna make sure I'm not overlapping on a lot of that blonde, but you guys can see there's some warmth down in there, so just kind of feather it through. Now you guys can see I'm getting real close to her root area because she wants it pretty bright around the front. So now we'll just fold this in thirds. And then I lock it into place just like this. And I'm gonna do this with 3 more pieces, so we'll skip a little bit of hair. And you guys can see I'm pulling from both sides of her part, so it's gonna lay really nicely when she wears her hair back. I made sure to do a really deep weave there. And we want to make sure we're not doing too much, but And you guys can see she's got these little tiny baby hairs, so I'm just gonna pull those down to make sure that they're nice and straight and we're not getting any like bleed marks or anything. So I'm basically almost doing a highlight, but I'm just kind of feathering it through. Then I'm gonna take a clean brush that has no product on it and just kind of feather that also, wiping it off as I go. And once I've locked it into place, I'm gonna take her hair and make sure to kind of part it away from her face so she doesn't have all those little baby hairs hanging down in her face. Then I'm gonna pull these guys down and we're gonna let them lay down too. Then we'll go back to parting her hair and we'll go over to the side. All right, so my client has a lot of little kind of baby hairs. So what I decided to do with this little baby hair section, I didn't want to leave it out because when she wears her hair back, there's gonna be a dark chunk. So I'm just gonna do some little tiny bit of balayage piece, but because it's around the hairline and I did them pretty close to that hairline anyways, it's gonna work out really good. So I'm just gonna take one of my smaller foils, we'll apply it in there, and do just a slight bit of conditioner kind of at that root area. Again, it was about a ½ inch off the root on those front pieces. So we're just gonna do the same thing. So we're just gonna barely kind of feather this in. So that's just gonna help really kind of add that brightness so that she doesn't get that channel of depth right there. And then we're gonna move on to the sides. All right, so now I've got to the side, so I'm just gonna kind of section just this little side area. And again, she's got these little baby hairs, so we've gotta make sure that we're paying special attention to those. So we'll clip that away. And I'm gonna weave this guy out and go in with my small foil. Apply a little bit of conditioner, and again, we're not teasing these areas or these sections right around the hairline just because it's not any hair in there. It's like a baby light, so we don't need to tease them. Apply our lightener in there, and then just kind of blend it up into that area. And fold it into thirds. And I'm gonna do another piece just like that, again, a little higher up. Okay, so now once I finish with those two pieces, I'm gonna release that piece and I'm gonna do a diagonal back, just going kind of across those two to kind of merge those two sections together. So I'm gonna grab some up here. You guys can see this is gonna be my next section. So I am gonna grab some more from that like dark channel kind of right in here again. Now this foil is gonna be a little bit trickier because you could do it in two foils. You could do one up here and one down here, or you could just grab it all in one. I'm actually gonna split it up because she does have so many little baby hairs, and this is gonna be a hard one to get into a foil to match the other ones down there. So this one's just gonna be kind of a little baby foil up here again. And you guys, every client's different, so you have to just remember when you're putting in foils like this that her hairline's different than another client of mine. So sometimes taking that time to do two foils versus one is gonna make a big difference in the long run. That detail around the hairline makes a huge, huge difference. Again, I'll take my clean brush, kind of just clean it off up there. And now this one, I can actually tease this piece because this one's got enough hair in it. So we'll tease it. And sometimes what I like to do is if the teasing is like falling down in the area, I'll tease it and then I'll take a little clip and kind of clip it away and then clean up my section so I'm not getting that like teased hair in the area. So that's kind of just an easy little tip to keep it from coming down into your area where you need to paint into. So I'm gonna continue up the head doing diagonal backs until I get to this little corner up here. All right, so I finished her entire head of foils, and after I've done that, I always go back and check my last foil of the back section. So I'll fold these up and check just to see how it's lightening. And you guys can see you're already getting that beautiful blend in there, and it's already lightening pretty well. So this just kind of gives me an idea of how the head's lightening. And again, in the back section, I did 25 volume, and then I moved to 30 when I got to the front. So that way I can kind of know. Sometimes I put my clients under heat, sometimes I don't, just totally depends. So we're gonna let her process for about 20 minutes and we'll check her again. apply Olaplex number 2 on her hair. You guys can see we have it in a little extra container over here, but I'm just gonna apply that on her. And what this does is it's gonna help to detangle a lot of her little teasing. You guys can see it's already kind of coming out, but some of that area where it is a little bit teased, the Olaplex number 2 is not only going to help kind of you know, repair her hair, but help to eliminate some of those tangles that we have going on. So we'll let this sit on for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll go through and do her toner. So after the Olaplex, we're gonna tone her hair. So I mixed up Colorants 10P and 1/4 10B. So 3/4 10P, 1/4 10B. And you guys can see there's a lot of beautiful tones in here. We wouldn't necessarily need to tone it, but she wants to be pretty blonde. She wants to kind of have a little bit more of that icy white color. So we are gonna tone out just a little bit of this warmth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start down here in the bottom. And you guys can see there's still a little bit of tease sections in there. We'll get that out. But the Olaplex number 2 definitely helps with that for sure. All right, so we're gonna start kind of in this bottom area, and I'm going to apply it to the warmest spots first. So kind of that mid shaft area into the ends, but I'm gonna leave her ends out a little bit. I don't wanna overtone those, so we'll kind of just work through those mid shaft areas first. So her toner has been sitting on for about 5 minutes, and you guys can see how it's already processing really beautifully. We're getting that like nice kind of blonde color in there, like really gorgeous. So she's almost ready to rinse, and this is one of those toners where you gotta kind of watch it, and once it's ready to rinse, it means it's ready to rinse. It'll start to turn gray or lavender, especially because I threw some of that 10V in there. But yeah, it's looking really, really good, and she's almost ready to go. So you guys can see all of that beautiful baby lights that we did around her face. Now she doesn't have a hole around her face. Like, look at how beautiful that is when she wears her hair back. It's just gonna be so gorgeous. You guys saw I caught those little baby hairs, and that makes the world of a difference for when she's gonna wear her hair back. That money piece just looks so seamless and so gorgeous. All right, so here is our final result. Look how gorgeous it looks. Absolutely love this toner formula because it creates brightness, and it just creates a nice like ashy tone without it being too ashy, still getting some of that warmth in there. Absolutely love how it turned out. You guys can see all her blend. It just looks amazing, how bright and beautiful it looks. And the great thing is about this technique is you don't even have to do a root shadow or root shade. You get that beautiful blend all within the foil, and no extra color is needed. It's great. Alright guys, thank you so much for checking out my YouTube video. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you enjoyed this, make sure to comment below and go over to Instagram and tell me hi. I would love to know what you liked about this video and what you learned. Make sure to also hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be doing lots of videos like this where I share my techniques in the salon and share all of my formulations, everything, even business tips. So go check out some of my other videos, hit that subscribe button, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. We'll see you then.